Chapter 11, Question 9, t-test for two related samples. Masculine-themed words such as competitive, independent, analyze, strong are commonly used in job recruitment materials, especially for job advertisements in male-dominated areas. Gauscher, Friesen, and K. 2010. The same study found that these words also make the jobs less appealing to women. In a similar study, female participants were asked to read a series of job advertisements and then rate how interesting or appealing the job appeared to be. Half of the advertisements were constructed to include several masculine-themed words, and the others were worded neutrally. The average rating for each type of advertisement was obtained for each participant. For n equals 25 participants, the mean difference between the two advertisements is MD equals 1.32 points, with neutral ads rated higher, with a sum of squares 150 for the different scores. Is this result sufficient to conclude that there is a significant difference in the ratings for two types of advertisements? Use a two-tailed test with an alpha of 0.05. So we're going to use the full four-step procedure. Step 1, we need to define or state what our null and our alternate hypotheses are. The null, it's a two-tailed test. The null is that the mean difference is equal to 0. The alternate is that the mean difference is not equal to 0. Step 2, we need to find our critical values. To find our critical values, we need to have our degrees of freedom. Our degrees of freedom equal the number of different scores, n minus 1. 25 minus 1, our degrees of freedom is 24. If we look up in the back of the book, the t-critical is plus or minus, because it's two-tailed, plus or minus 2.064. Step 3 is to calculate the test statistic. Before we can calculate the test statistic, we have to calculate the estimated standard error. Before we can calculate the estimated standard error, we need to calculate the variance, because we have sum of squares, not variance. So we're going to take our sum of squares and divide by the degrees of freedom. So that's 150 divided by 24, which is equal to 6.25. Then we calculate the estimated standard error. And so what we'll do is we'll take the square root of the variance divided by the number of scores. So we take 6.25 divided by 25, which is, and then square root, which equals 0.5. And now we can calculate our t, which is our difference score minus the population value that we predicted, which is 0, divided by the estimated standard error. 1.32 subtract 0 divided by 0.5, 0.5, which is equal to 2.64. So now we need step 4 of the hypothesis testing procedure, which is that we're going to compare the value that we calculated to our critical values. If we draw it out, our critical values are 2.064, negative 2.064. Anything that falls in here, we're going to fail to reject. Anything that is out here is our critical region, we're going to reject. The value we calculated is here, 2.64. It is in the critical region. Therefore, we are going to reject the null, accept the alternate. We never prove the alternate, we accept the alternate. In terms of evidence, we can either use this diagram, or we can say that 2.64 is greater than or more extreme than 2.064. And the interpretation is that there is a significant difference. In the two types of advertisements.